Hello and welcome to this video, which is for mentors on how to complete Progress Review 1. Trainees, you still might want to watch this as well, but I'm going to be talking to mentors and I'm going to have it enabled as mentors. So it might look a little different when you check in there. I'm Emily Giubertoni and I'm the director of the SCITT at Bishop Challoner, and in 2025 this is how we assess trainees whether they're on track or not at the end of each module. So Progress Review 1 we're completing at the end of module 1, and what you'll see when you log into Mosaic, and if you'll go into you'll see this under review points. So on the left hand side here you'll see review points and Progress Review 1, and you might also see it on your dashboard. Once you've opened it, you will see there are these sections to complete. And we're just going to click into each of these and talk through what you need to do to complete the section. If I go into the general section, you have a little bit of guidance just at the top. And really that's emphasising that this is about module 1 assessment. So we are not talking about have they trainee learn all of the skills to be a teacher. We're looking at assessing what we taught in module 1. To help you under each area of practice, you will have some summary information as you go through. And this is a key point, that we're not expecting mastery of an area of practice. What we're expecting is the trainees have learned and can demonstrate that knowledge that was taught at the level we'd expect in module 1. If I scroll down here, what I can see is that the trainee will have to fill in a little reflection here on what they have done. And that's important, because it's to make sure it's a good check really that this has been seen by both the mentor and the trainee. This is supposed to be a kind of collaborative. There should be no surprises here. This is not being done behind the trainee's back. You will be talking to the trainee, sharing with them where you think they are, and in the trainee reflection they can give their own input and their own perspective on this. There is then an open text box for the school mentor comment, and this is really the only open text box you have in this report. It's been designed to be as minimal as it can in terms of everybody's workload. Use this space to write a brief overall reflection on the trainee's progress, particularly about their strengths and what they've done well. And this is really to celebrate the impact the trainee has had at the start of term. You might talk in module 1 about the way they've shown professionalism, the way they've established relationships, the way they have been in the classroom, any positive impact that they have had, anything that's particularly impressed you. At the bottom of the page, you're then going to set 3 targets for your trainee. And here what we're thinking about are targets that can be addressed across module 2. So you will likely be setting weekly targets, or you should be setting weekly targets anyway. If we scroll up here, we can say we're going to set 3 targets, cross-reference to the ITT ECF, and able to be met across 6 weeks, or if you're part-time, a bit longer, but in module 2. So what I would be doing here is certainly having a copy of the ITT ECF handy, and I'd just be getting that open, and I would be thinking about what things in this kind of right hand column here are targets and areas, things that I really want the trainee to be able to practice over the next unit of time. And you might choose to fill this out at the end when you've gone through and rated everything, but we'll just do it now because it's on the first page. So you might think that you want the trainee to have a target about managing behaviour. And maybe they are, for example, have done very well on developing manageable, specific and sequential instructions, but a really useful target for them might be to start to respond. Let's have a just quick scan down here. Might be about teaching routines a little bit more in the lesson. So if they've got expectations around transition points, that seems like a target that a trainee might reasonably have in module 2 when they're starting to deepen their understanding. So what I would do is come back to Mosaic and put that target in. Just slightly tweak the start of that, but I'm using the exact language here, and I would also reference it. I would say it's standard 7H, and that will help with the trainee to track their progress and their evidence. And all I would do there is save target. It won't let me save it now because I'm logged in. I'm not logged in as a mentor, sorry, but you will save a target here and then it will add it. And you're just going to do 3 targets. Once you've filled out this open text bit and the targets, you're ready to move on. And you can do that by coming up to this little triangle at the top. So scroll across. And we're going to do the next bit 5 times because it's for 5 areas of the curriculum. CAP stands for Key Area of Practice, but you can immediately ignore that acronym because the important bit is what we're actually looking at. When we're making a judgment for each of these areas, you're being asked to rate the trainee. You can see here, all you need to do is fill in this drop down: beginning, developing, or secure. Beginning, developing, or secure. And an important point is that a trainee is expected to be secure. That would be a kind of where we would expect a trainee to be if they have really fully engaged with everything on the module overview, on the curriculum, and they have really kind of are doing well on the things that they have been expected to learn in module 1. And what you can see here is a summary of what those things were. So if you read this list and you think, yes, my trainee has fully engaged with the curriculum and I'm pretty happy with how they are doing all of these things, you might rate them as secure. Let's see if we can get some of this down the bottom. If you're thinking they're doing some of those things, and maybe there's some developing, I would be choosing developing. But if you had some concerns maybe, and you were thinking that my trainee for some reason or another has not made much progress against these areas of the curriculum, I do not think these are kind of very embedded in their practice, you would choose beginning. And if we see beginning, we will think that is a trainee in need of a bit of extra support with that standard. So at the top, you've got a little bit of guidance, which is going to be repeated, which is just what you might consider when making your judgment. So you might have seen a full observation for your trainee, done 5-to-1 observations where they have the 5-to-1 booklets, things you've discussed in your mentor meetings, targets that you've set your trainee that they've met, reflections the trainee has written, intensive training and practice weeks. Anything you've seen of the trainee in that holistic assessment can count to your judgment. Are they secure? Are they in the middle of developing, they're making, or are they really in need of a bit of extra support? Save and continue will take you on to the next screen, and you'll do exactly the same for key area of practice 2, which is pedagogy, 3, assessment, 4, adaptive teaching, and 5, professional behaviours. And for each of those, you can see the language underneath changes to say what they have to do or what they have done in module 1. Assessment is the smallest area here, because trainees at this point, assessment has been a bit of light touch because their curriculum has been prioritising planning and behaviour in that first module. So there's a bit less in that. Adaptive teaching, there's a little bit more of what trainees should be doing. So as you go through, you are just rating them under each area. You are saving continue. It won't let me do it because I'm not legged into a trainee. And then the very end is personal and professional conduct. And you've just got 3 drop downs here, which are just, is the trainee meeting or not meeting these 3 areas of the teacher's standards. And although we are not assessing the rest of the programme about part 2 of the standards, because professionalism is so important all the way through, we want to know if there's any issues about professionalism. We would hope all trainees will be met here, and if not, that we would know anyway. But if a trainee, if you have got concerns about these things, this is one of tools where you could tick that it's not met and give us some details about that if it's not met. Otherwise, these comments are all optional and you do not need to write anything in these boxes. You can just tick met, and save when you get to the end. And that is it. So you are just going into these areas here. The general, remember, is an overview, a kind of summary, bit of free text, and set 3 targets. You are then rating for these 5 areas. Are they beginning, developing, or secure? And finally, 3 drop downs for personal and professional conduct. Are they meeting part 2 of the standard? And I hope that that is very straightforward to fill out. But please remember that if you've got any questions, you have got your lead mentor team, Andrea Morgan, Lou and Judith, who will be there to support with questions, and email into the central team and they will be able to support you with that. Thank you so much for your time in watching this, and I hope it has been helpful in supporting you to fill out Progress Review 1.